Welcome back to another episode of the Resellers Mindset Podcast. My name is Mike, also known as the Used Book Guy on YouTube, along with my friend and fellow full-time reseller, Johnny B. We help people start and grow their reselling businesses from the ground up. We also have a weekly Zoom call and private Discord for all YouTube members. Head on over to youtube.com/usedbookguy to join the channel and gain access to the full-length podcast, Zoom call, and private Discord today. Let's get into this week's episode. What is up, everyone? Welcome to episode 3 of the Reseller Mindset Podcast. Mike here with Johnny B. As always, today's topic is a very important one, and there's two sides to this one here. We have relationships when it comes to your reselling business, right? I'm not talking about, your dating life. I'm talking about, your money life, having relationships to help grow your business, or the other side of it, relationships that can hurt your business. So I'm going to throw it over to Johnny B here. He's going to kind of tap on it a little bit. We're going to start out with some secret sauce here. He's not even ready for this, right? So I've been thinking about this all day.
You gonna screw me? Screw
Yep.
me. Go ahead, Mike.
I'm gonna throw this one at you, and you're gonna have to give me a good answer here. So
Okay.
give me the most important relationship you have in your business. I don't need specific details, right? Because I don't want to go steal your source on you, right?
Okay.
I just want to know the most important relationship you have currently for your business and how you went about getting it.
I have two, but we'll go with the top one because it's the most important one. Um, the most important one is the one with my local auction house. And I was buying from them frequently on the cheap because they don't know how well, they're not very good at marketing. Let's just say that. And I get stuff really cheap from them. But I was a frequent flyer, as they say, because I was at every auction doing all the things. I was mainly online though. But getting friendly with the owners, I was able to hear that they were in financial difficulties. So I took a benefit for that of what do you guys think about getting rid of your retail portion of your store and letting me rent that out? And you guys just run the online business because that is the only thing that's making you guys money at the moment. And this took months and months and months of I had plans to buy this building all along. I was just waiting till I had like a suitcase full of cash to do it because it's really close to my house. It's literally across the street. I can walk to work now. But opportunities came a knocking, and because I was so friendly with them, and because I was buying from them, supporting them in their business, they were very inclined to at least sit down and talk to me. And one thing led to another, and I now have a quote unquote warehouse where I work out of every day. That is my most important relationship, and it'll be an ongoing one because they are an older couple, and I could see them even if they stick it out the next 10 years, I'm going to end up with this building. I know I will.
So the first time you ever went to this auction house,
Mhm.
what was your mindset the first time you decided to were you just like, oh, let me go check this out, see what it's about? Did anything kind of lead you? Did you watch like an episode of like Storage Wars or something? It's like, oh, let me go over to this auction house and see if there's anything in here I can, sell.
I did not come over here when I first got into reselling because I went in here for funsies before I got into reselling, and it was utterly crap. It still is utterly crap. Just tchotchke stuff mainly. And I don't know why. I was looking for more places to source, or I think it was a rainy day actually. I came in here like maybe they got a couple of books. This is when I niched down to just books. And they ended up having quite a few books, but they did the horrible thing of hiding them, right? Like they were indoors and stuff. It was like, oh, this is where you put your books. So you like it wasn't messy, but they just didn't care about the books essentially. But I bought all of them, all of their books. There were a lot of books. And then the next week they came back, they actually had a red library cart full of books. They brought me more. So I just kept coming back. This is the retail portion. Then they educated me that they actually do a lot of online auctions, and they had a crap ton of books on the first one there too. And I got them for really cheap, really cheap. And that was the first part of the relationship building is me walking in the door, right? And introducing myself, being friendly, not being a jerk or ignoring them because they're friendly shopkeepers, right? They're like, hey, hello, hi, I'm this, that, and the other. And you introduce yourself, you do the polite, cordial thing, and you probe with your questions. Where are your books? I like books, and yeah, it just spun off from there. And but yeah, like I said, about a year later, I'm now working out of their building.
It's
I mean, I'm a
crazy.
renter right now, but I plan to be an owner in a few years.
It's crazy. Like you were just say, like, ah, you know what? I'm not gonna, it's a miserable day out. I'm not gonna go where I usually go. I'm gonna go to this place that I've been thinking about going, and now look what it's turned into, right? It's crazy, and it kind of, that'll take me right into mine. I have the library that I get all their overflow donations. So overflow donations is just items they already have. They do have like a thing out front where they sell books. It's only like a little table and they have a little free book section. The only thing they keep on those is like newer fiction that's within the last 3 years. So anything that's new fiction within the last 3 years, they'll keep for themselves to put out on the free table because it's in a nicer, larger area, more upscale, affluent area. So they like having that stuff for the regulars that are always in there. And so the overflow is basically all their textbooks because libraries don't deal with textbooks, at least in my area. So any textbooks that comes in goes to me for nothing. Any of the older stuff, they don't even waste time. If it doesn't have a barcode, it goes in book savers pile. That's what they call me, the book saver. So it's like soon enough, I'm in talks right now. I'm going to be joining, the the Avengers. But yeah, so my relationship, I kind of I mean, I wouldn't say mine is kind of the same as yours, but I lucked out with it in essence because they actually reached out to me through my Craigslist ad where I buy books and they didn't even want me to buy the books. They just said, "Hey, they were before me, they were literally all the volunteers, friends of the library volunteers, most of them are older ladies. They were literally filling up their cars and they told me stories because I helped set up their book sale. These little old ladies are loading up their Priuses with boxes of books to take them to a thrift store. And they were actually, sometimes they would have to pay the thrift store to take the books.
It's
How much of a
crazy.
how much of a racket is that? I
That is
mean,
crazy. I mean,
yeah.
you have something I don't. I still have to pay for books. I mean, sometimes it's really cheap, nickels and dimes, right? But I don't have access to free books. You do. That's impressive.
So they literally, and that's what I always say, like when you're doing this kind of stuff, is it's not so much you getting rid of the stuff for them, you're providing them a service. Any way you look at it, it's not, oh, they just want the books gone. It's they really don't care about the money. They just want the stuff to be all gone. And I'm not saying, I didn't say, hey, sure, I'll come look at the books and take only what I want. I said, "No, I'll take everything. We'll figure out how to deal with it later because you have that infrastructure in place where, if somebody shows up with a truckload, you at least have a plan, some sort of plan." But yeah, I stumbled onto mine through Craigslist, and now every month I get a call. Hey, Mike, we got a whole car full of books. I drive over in my 2011 Sonata, fill it up with 30 boxes of books. I'm sure the suspension's been shot for years, but it's whatever, It's like, whatever. It's an old car. As long as it runs, it gets you from A to B. I don't need to break out the Lamborghini for my book haul. So, and that kind of relationship. So I get them for free. And you're talking about it, right? You get it for free. But every time I go, I'm donating at least 25 bucks to the library. All right. First off, I'm writing off the donation, $25. Second off, the ladies appreciate it. So I deal with one person that's like their intake donation, right? So up until I set up this library sale last month, I never met any of the other ladies. But when I went and met them, when I set up the library sale, they all were like, "Oh my God, we can't believe you actually donate to the library when you come take these books. Like you're providing us a service, and I'm giving them 25 bucks, and they think it's like the end of the world, right? When in reality, it's probably like a penny per book I'm taking."
Well, that's the beautiful part. You're getting free books and you're getting a write off. That's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. So it's those kind of relationships. Like he talked about, he's got his with his auction house, and he lives there now basically because he works out of there.
I
He
just go
just got a
home for a shower. That's it.
you just need like a bridge going across the street right to your attic to the warehouse.
No, man, like a 50-foot slide. I mean, I have to do that's my workout, climbing the 50-foot slide and just sliding into the office every day.
You barrel a hole, just crawl right underneath. Yeah, so like those are kind of, you just heard it here, right? Our best two relationships we have and how we got them. There's no secret way of doing this. It's basically just being out there and, having your name out there. And, we say it all the time. You want to be known as the book person of your area. You want to have flyers, business cards, and you want to have conversations. It doesn't mean nothing if you got all this stuff, if you can't walk in and have a conversation with the business owner. Now, okay, it's different when it comes to going into chain retail stores
Yeah.
versus mom and pops. But we've already seen proof of that in the group where people have access to back room of multiple Goodwills. Multiple people have access to back rooms at Goodwills.
Yeah.
Personally, they won't let me do it. I've tried it, but well, you got to shoot your shot, right? There's no harm in trying, and you just gotta, it just takes. I honestly think just one of these relationships will probably 5x, 10x somebody's business, right? No matter if you're doing media, no matter what, like certain people have people that go out and source clothing for them and bring it to them. Like that just it just accelerates everything so much because you have the inventory now. And that's the whole thing. You need the inventory if you want to grow. And that's it just takes one relationship like that. And all of a sudden you're rocking and rolling and you think the sky is the limit. And these relationships take time, right? You're not gonna sure there's anomalies, people that start out and they already have, auction house access, which we've seen, and it's crazy, but it takes time to get that one relationship. And once you see the potential of one, you're like, wow, what if I had two? What if I had three? You would have an endless supply of goods to sell in your business, no matter what kind of business you have. So yeah, that's our kind of two relationships, our most important relationships in our business. Personally for me, like I said, it's usually at least 1,000 books a month I get for 25 bucks. Johnny B, whenever they have books, I mean, how many books do you think you get from there in a month?
Well, one of my key sources for my eBay store is from the same auction house. So what happens is he comes in with about 1,000 bucks about what you do at the library sale. I don't get him for free. I do have to pay for them, but they don't even bother putting them on the floor or in the auction. They just call me directly and they're like, your pile's over there. And I look at the pile, make sure it's good, and I walk up and pay them. But outside, and I'll be honest, that's where a lot of my bread and butter items are on my store come from. Not the high dollar value ones. I mean, maybe occasionally there's some in that pile, but just $30 or less, essentially. But their actual auctions where they get books from, I probably bought in this year 3,000 outside of the 1,000 a month that I get every month.
I almost feel like auction houses are kind of overlooked nowadays.
The only people that buy from this, and this is because they don't advertise, is resellers that buy from here.
Okay.
Every person I met from here is a reseller of some kind, either an everything seller or like me, I do books. There's a tool guy, there's an electronic guy. Nobody's an average Joe. I bought this because I want it and I'm a consumer. It's because they don't advertise. So the people that know, I also live in a rural area. If people are unaware listening to this, so that maybe has something to do with it, in addition to the not advertising. But they still get 100 to 150 customers every time they do an auction, which is cool. But they're all resellers, all of them, and I'm one of them.
That'll take us right into this the next part of it is maintaining and keeping your relationship, right? So like you just said, you're rural, but guess what? If all of a sudden they put up, skyscrapers in your neighborhood, you're still that guy because of the relationship you have. Is there anything like, like what do you like I said, I pay for my books and I don't ask for money. And I volunteered to help set up the book sale, which listen, in all transparency, I went to the book sale thinking I wasn't going to be able to scan anything, beforehand, right? The lady said, "Hey, we usually have help from the Boy Scouts and local mission, but they didn't have any help this year." So I said, "Hey, if you need me, I'll come do it." I had no ill intentions on scanning anything. So I got there, and it was me and 30 old ladies moving 100 banana boxes of books. So I basically carried them out to the tables. They set them up, and then they're like, "Hey, you know, since you're here, you can." It was funny. You can you can shop, right? So before the doors even open. All right. So once the main lady, like the treasurer of the library, said, "Hey, you ladies can shop," since you're helping set it up. everybody stopped moving books besides me, right? All the old ladies went out and started shopping the sale right away. I swear to God, I was the last one still moving stuff around, but
Oh
I didn't
man,
mind, right? That was like it was a good deed, right? And they're like,
let them
oh,
have a few books,
they're like
whatever.
they're like, "Oh, we rather you get it than, another reseller get it." So, I showed, like, some of the ladies exactly, like, there goes the copyright strike, way to go. We, showed a few ladies, like, how it works, like, how you scan stuff, and they were all like, "Oh my god, so that's what people are doing." So I got the scan, I probably came home with 2 boxes of profitable stuff. I didn't scan everything, so I left some stuff there for other resellers that came along. I didn't wanna be that guy, and I didn't want their sale to get a bad name or anything like that. So, but that's how I maintain that relationship is, the lady has my number, I have her number. If she ever needs me, she can reach out. So, like, what are some things you do to kind of keep your relationship in good faith besides pay them rent every month?
I help them with their online business. They're doing the reselling thing, but I'm trying to help them get into eBay themselves, and maybe a little bit of Amazon because they actually get some stuff that's sealed sometimes and it's got barcodes. Like, why not just send that into Amazon, collect a few bucks? So, and I'm also helping them because before this, I was into marketing. I was harping on their marketing earlier, so I'm helping them with that. And that's actually how I got a reduction in my rent because they were asking about $400 more than what I'm currently paying, and I threw that in as a rent reduction option for them. Um, and I would say the most beneficial thing is just showing up. You don't do it every day, not even weekly, but just making sure they remember your face maybe every couple of weeks or something. And even if you don't buy anything, just walking in, how are things going? You have any more books? You have to be as crass as that, but you just be friendly with it. It's just the common courtesy, like, hey, how you doing? How you
Now,
doing?
are they heavily like, so you're talking about like getting them onto selling stuff online more? Are they more like I mean, clearly they're not interested in books. Like
Hmm.
books media isn't their main thing like you, right? So they really don't care about that stuff.
Their bread and butter is coins and currency, old coins and currency, but they
So
sell everything.
yeah, yeah, I figured with an auction house, they gotta sell everything, but that's their niche is coins and currency. That makes sense. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you help them out, it's a relationship, right? It's not just a tenant, landlord kind of deal.
Right. And when they have a big haul, I mean, I'll go out and help them unload some stuff, or I have extra supplies. Here's a perfect example. I had a polybag order from eBay, a big one. But for some reason, they decided to give me a box of boxes. I don't use their boxes for my books. So it's like, hey, you guys want these boxes? Because it's either that or I resell these boxes. And I don't really want to do that because that I run a bookstore. And they're like, yeah, with love boxes, free boxes, yay. And we'll do favors for each other here and there. So being a renter works out in that regard as well. They want to ask me a question or get my advice, and maybe I have something for them. Like if I ever have a thought of how would I run an auction house, maybe I'd ask them a few pointers. Or how do auction houses work? How do I get better deals at an auction house? Would probably be more of my inline questions today. Or how do I deal with city auction houses? Because I don't deal with them that much because I don't live there.
All right, so now we're gonna get into, so that kind of covers like the good business side of a relationship and how we came across our best ones. I want to kind of talk about. I mean, I wouldn't say it's business. It's more like personal relationship, right? Almost like me and you sitting here talking, like
Sure.
other like-minded reseller relationships. We'll get into the good side of that first before we turn to the dark side and get into the dark side of both, which will be a lot more fun.
It will be a
Um,
lot more fun.
the good side here, though, like when it comes to being around like-minded people, is you're around like-minded people that have the not the same goals necessary, like, but you're working towards almost the same thing. You're selling the same kind of stuff, so you kind of can bounce ideas off one another. Me and you do it all the time, and you have somebody else that'll tell you if something sounds crazy and stupid, or if it's something like, wait a minute, I should be doing this too. That's a great idea. So I think that's kind of the good part of it is, being able to, mm, basically get another opinion from somebody, I guess I really don't know if you're a true billionaire over there, but everything you said just from the relationship point of it, like, you can tell if somebody's, legitimate, honest person. So when it comes to that, I think it's good to be around like-minded people when it comes to having relationships, but you gotta listen, there's only so much time in the day, right? Me and I can't hang out on here all day with you, unfortunately, right? I got a business
But
I
we're
gotta run.
besties, Mike. We have the whole day together.
I got a business I gotta run. So there is a line where you can't just be chatting all day with other resellers because then that's when it turns to the dark side. But
It's
what's your
very
take?
tempting to do so. It really is.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like, cause I think here's the problem. When we first start out, we don't have that outlet. We don't have anybody. Even if you have a significant other, they're gonna tell you to shut up after an hour.
that's Deb. That's Deb.
So I don't want to hear anymore. But us as resellers, our brain's constantly going with this stuff, right? We want to talk about it. Like even on our Sunday calls. I mean, you show up an extra half hour early than what's scheduled, and we talk the entire time.
Those calls could go all day long if I
They
let them.
could.
Even when I say, "Is there anything else?" I got to start saying, "Is there anything else?" Like 30 minutes before the call ends because there's always like 10 other things that come along.
And I'm guilty of this. I've caused the call to run over. It's my fault, Mike. It's mine. That's the thing. We get together once a week, and then we have Discord. That's a little. It's like heroin addict, right? We got to get our fix. We got to talk about reselling all the time. Um, and I think that, I mean, you put it earlier. We just got to get to work sometimes. Talk later. Talk. We got the hour to talk. The rest of the day's work.
When we're all retired on the beach, we can talk as much as we want.
Right, but then we won't be theory crafting all day long and wasting time.
I know, right? It's different when you're not completely in the business talking about it. But like you said, right? There's a thin line of us wasting way too much time. Discord. For me, it's different, right? I quote unquote have a brand, a YouTube brand, a personality, whatever. Um, so of course, that's going to take more time out of my day. But I always think to myself, if I didn't have all these obligations and I didn't waste so much time, how much more productivity could I get out of myself, and how much more money would that be on a daily basis, a monthly basis, if I actually broke it down, right? It'd probably be thousands of dollars.
No, for sure. If you and me were not involved doing these social activities with other resellers, I mean, we're losing out on hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on a weekly, monthly basis. But we do this because A, we want to, maybe, probably. And B, we like helping other people. I don't mind answering somebody's questions, especially if they're brand new. Neither do you, obviously, because that's your whole thing. I'm a lot more background and you're a lot more foreground, but I don't mind helping on the background because it's usually a quick answer like, yes, do that. No, don't do that. And here's why.
You got to find a balance. That's a big thing, right? So I could post YouTube videos 7 days a week, or I could stick with 3 days a week. You got to figure out what's the limitations you have to a point where you're not basically harming your business to a point where it doesn't make sense to keep doing. So it's one of those things where you'll learn as you go how much time, quote unquote, you can waste on these types of activities. It's definitely not wasting to me. Like, I love doing the calls because you learn so much from other people. Everybody's got a different business model, different plan. Everything works differently for, no matter who you are, no matter what kind of business you got. So just being around like-minded people, I mean, Sunday's my day off, and that's when I do the calls. So like that says enough, right? It's my day off, my only day off I take of the week, besides like the days I spend with them. So like I learned so much from other people, whether they're new or whether they've been around forever, that it makes sense for me to maintain these relationships and can you just continue them and see where they go, and always be there for people and answer the questions, right? That's why I do it, and that's kind of the good side of having those relationships, is that you're always learning, right? You never know everything there is to know.
And I'll give you a prime example. And I'm sorry for plugging another group, but I'm going to plug the Daily Refinement group. I'm still in that group, by the way. I love you more, Mike. Um, Early on, I was trying to attend every single call those guys have. And they have a call for everything. And I was talking and I was listening and I was learning. But you know what I was not doing? I was not working. The working gets the money. The talking, listening, and learning, that's great. But we're in this to make money, especially if you're doing this full time. I wouldn't say it was wasted time, but I needed to assign my time better So I stopped attending a lot of their calls, and only the media calls, which is particular to my business. They're a reselling group for all, just to clarify for people who don't know. So if you sell jeans or jewelry or books, they got a call for everything. They even have a generic morning call of reselling in general. It's fantastic. Chris and Tech are the owners of that. But even they say the group's biggest flaw is there's too much information, and there is. We can sit on, even if you are not part of any group, you can sit on YouTube all day and go through all the reselling channels and waste a whole lot of time versus just going out and do it. Even if you don't know everything, there's no way to know everything. It's impossible. It is impossible. Maybe not that Tech guy. Tech and Chris may know everything, but outside of those two anomaly human beings, go out and do it and learn yourself. And if you got a question after you do the work, yeah, show up to a call like, hey, I did this. I didn't feel right about it. Am I doing it right? Am I right? Sure, that's acceptable.
So basically, take action before trying to figure everything out, right? Because, the easiest way to learn something is to do it yourself. You can watch it. Listen, I had to clean out the drain the other day in the sink, and I had to disconnect the thing from underneath and get the little plunger out. And
Uh,
sure, I can watch a YouTube video, but like actually doing it, yeah, I see the guy doing it, but getting down there and your sink's not the complete same. It's like your thrift stores aren't the same as mine, different. So it's almost the same thing. You just got to get out there and take action, and those relationships will, they'll be there, right? You don't have to be on all these calls, like you said, things like that. And it's the same with YouTube, right? You don't need to follow a million different resellers. I, I'm guilty of that. When I first started, I was on YouTube. I was subscribed to I mean, there's
I'm guilty of that too,
there's
man. I
probably a
followed all of
million.
them.
There's probably a million reselling YouTubers out there. But I've narrowed it down to people that I kind of get the most constructive information that I can relate to my business. And I would recommend anybody out there to do the same, right? Just because, somebody posted a video like Deb, she does embroidery. So she has her embroidery business people that she watches. That'd be like if I watch embroidery business videos, it has no relation to what I'm doing. So it's literally just a waste of time. And you might tell yourself, oh, well, they have their own business. So it's not a waste of time, but it is because you're not really getting anything constructive from it.
100%. I mean, knowledge is power. I don't disagree with that statement at all. But what particular knowledge applies to you, which is exactly what you were just saying. That's the important bits. And even on the media calls, I hadn't showed up in like 3 months because I knew everything. And my time got more intensive. And they made a comment, hey Johnny, we haven't seen you in 3 months. So like, I've been busy, guys. I'm sorry. And then I showed up the next week and they're glad to see me again. They're always glad to see me, super nice people. But it's like when I need to learn or I have the extra time, then it's okay to be invested in those things, I think. But you got to concentrate on you and your business. Are you going to spend 2 hours sourcing, or are you going to spend 2 hours in a call not getting anything accomplished, or 2 hours listing, or 2 hours packing a box for Amazon? I mean, we mentioned way earlier on the call here that I mean, time's money. How much is your time worth? You're not making any money doing like this. We're not making any money right now. Neither one. Well, maybe you are with your YouTube nonsense,
I'll make
but
like a
I'm not making
dollar.
any
I'll
money.
make like a dollar and a quarter. I'll cut you in somewhere along the line.
But but we're doing this because we've allocated a time. I mean, you and I have a schedule to be here a certain day of the week, a certain time every time. That way, it doesn't screw with our business.
So it's like, you know, we have a call once a week, and it's like a main reason we decided to do this is because this is something, a podcast is something where you can listen and work, right? We upload the
Yep.
video to YouTube because you and Deb both agreed, hey, we're already recording this. YouTube's a video platform. Why not upload the video?
You're a
That
YouTuber,
makes
Mike. You're a YouTuber.
I could just put some kind of I'll have a cutout just sit here, but it's more to listen while you work. That's kind of the
Mm-hmm.
big benefit to this style of video and kind of why I wanted to make it. It's almost basically I'm taking less time out of you. I'm taking less time out of your business while you're working, even though this is a video that's 5 times longer than a normal video I make because you can listen while you work. You're not looking. You just have this in your ears and you can do your thing versus you have to sit here and look at a screen at what I'm showing you, explaining different things. I can do that all right here in your ears and I don't have to take away from you being productive in your business. And that's the end game, right? To be more productive and, help people grow. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Resellers Mindset Podcast. Today's full episode and all previous episodes are available to all YouTube members, along with the weekly Zoom call and private Discord. Head on over to youtube.com/the used book guy and consider joining for as little as $2.99 a month.